Your brain starts its nightly shift as light fades. Dimming eyes send signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This small cluster of cells sits above the optic chiasm. It tracks day and night through retinal inputs. Melanopsin cells in your eyes detect blue light levels. They tell the nucleus when evening arrives. The nucleus talks to the pineal gland. This gland rests deep in the brain. It ramps up melatonin production. Melatonin flows steadily into the bloodstream. Levels rise over hours. Your body clock slows its rhythm. Cortisol drops as melatonin climbs. Cortisol fueled your day. Now it ebbs away. The brainstem takes a gentle hand. Its reticular formation quiets arousal signals. Fewer impulses reach the cortex. Neurons in the locus coeruleus pause. They release norepinephrine during wakefulness. At night, this release slows. Fewer molecules bind to receptors. The forebrain feels less alert. Prefrontal cortex activity fades first. This front area handles planning and focus. Blood flow decreases there. Glucose use drops by 20%. Thoughts about tomorrow loosen their grip. The hippocampus reviews the day. It replays events in time-lapse. Connections strengthen quietly. Long-term potentiation settles memories. No effort needed. It happens on its own. As theta waves build in the hippocampus, they spread to the cortex. These waves run at 4 to 8 hertz. They link distant brain regions. Attention drifts inward. The basal forebrain releases less acetylcholine. This chemical keeps the mind sharp. Its decline softens edges of awareness. Cortical neurons fire less often. Synapses grow quieter. Ventrolateral preoptic nucleus activates. This sleep center lies near the hypothalamus. Its neurons use GABA. GABA quiets wake-promoting cells. Orexin neurons in the lateral hypothalamus hush. They stop pushing for vigilance. Spinal cord motor neurons receive fewer drives. Muscles relax in sequence. First the limbs grow heavy, then the trunk. Neck muscles soften. Heart rate eases. The medulla oblongata adjusts vagal tone. Parasympathetic system takes over. Breaths deepen without force. Pupils constrict slightly. Eyelids weigh more. The thalamus gates sensory input. Thalamic reticular nucleus spindles form. These block out side noise. Visual cortex quiets. No images form unbidden. Auditory areas filter sounds. Only steady tones pass through. Amygdala calms its watch. Fear circuits dial down. Default mode network hums low. It wanders through familiar patterns. Insula senses body states. Temperature evens out. Skin blood flow warms core. Pineal melatonin peaks around 2 hours after dark. It binds to MT1 and MT2 receptors. These sit on SCN cells. They reinforce the quiet phase. Circadian genes turn over. PR and cry proteins build in nuclei. They inhibit their own genes. Clock ticks slower. Homeostatic sleep drive adds pressure. Adenosine builds from ADP breakdown. It fills spaces between neurons. Adenosine A1 receptors sense it. They hyperpolarize wake cells. Raphe nuclei cut serotonin output. Dorsal raphe slows to a trickle. Tryptophan converts less to serotonin. Mood stays even. Substantia nigra and ventral tegmental area rest. Dopamine release tapers. Reward-seeking fades. Cerebellum coordinates less. Fine motor plans dissolve. Olfactory bulb quiets sense. Taste cortex ignores flavors. Parietal lobe maps lessen. Sense of space softens. Frontal eye field stops scanning. Gaze holds steady. The brain stem's gigantocellular nucleus eases posture. Anti-gravity muscles let go. Nucleus tractus solitarius balances inputs. Blood pressure dips smoothly. Hypothalamus sets body temp lower. Heat loss increases through skin. Prolactin rises. Growth hormone pulses start. Thalamocortical loops slow. K-complexes appear in EEG. They mark light sleep entry. Slow oscillations build. Up states shorten. Down states lengthen. Cortical columns synchronize. Millions of neurons phase lock. Gamma waves drop out. Beta rhythms vanish. Alpha fades from occipital leads. Eyes closed signal passes. The whole cortex drifts toward delta. 1 Hz waves roll gently. Hippocampal sharp waves ripple. They ripple less often. Astrocytes swell slightly. They clear metabolites. Glutamate and potassium balance. Microglia patrol without alarm. Blood-brain barrier tightens. No extras slip in. Cerebrospinal fluid flows more. It washes perivascular spaces. Cortical slow, waves deepen now. Delta power peaks below 4 Hz. Up states last 100 milliseconds. Down states stretch longer. Silent gaps fill cortex wide. Neurons rest hyperpolarized. Potassium channels hold open. Leak currents dominate. Synaptic renormalization starts. Strong synapses scale down. Weak ones prune away. Weights balance for dawn. Astrocytes' calcium waves slow. They uptake glutamate calm. AAT transporters work steady. Extrasynaptic NMDA quiet. Oligodendrocytes myelins hold. Axons conduct less need. Microglia ramified survey. No activation signals. Endothelial cells perfusion even. Parasite constriction mild. Blood flow couples low to need. Glymphatic aquaporin 4 opens. CSF flows peravascular space. Interstitial solutes drain slow. Beta amyloid clears 20 times more. Tau proteins wash interstitial. Lactate metabolites flush. Arterial pulsation drives flow. Delta waves sink it deep. PL vessels dilate slight. Capillary beds even out. White matter tracks quiet. Tract-specific wave align. Corpus callosum transfer low. Hemispheres separate calm. Interior commissure links hush. Unsinate fasciculus memory fade. Arcuate fasciculus language low. Superior longitudinal attention off. Fornix hippocampal outflow slow. Mammillothalamic body rests. Optic radiations visual gate. Auditory radiations tone filter. Spinocerebellar tracts motor quiet. Corticospinal voluntary gone. Brainstem nuclei phase lock. Pontine waves delta join. Medullary oscillators sync. Cerebellar folia waves roll. Vermis midline sleep led. Hypoglossal motor tongue slack. Phrenic diaphragm steady. Cervical cord flexors ease. Lumbar extensors let go. Sacral parasympathetic up. Bladder signals hold. Pudendal sensory filter. No urges rise. Autonomic nuclei balance shift. Nucleus ambiguous cardiac slow. Rostral ventral medulla off. Nucleus tractus solitarius integrates. Vagal afferents dominate. Carotid baroreceptors pulse detect. Sinus stretch resets low. Renal sympathetic cutback. Natriuresis mild overnight. Adrenal medulla epinephrine low. Cortisol trough holds. Pancreas insulin basal. Glucagon suppressed. Liver glycogenolysis slow. Gluconeogenesis minimal. Muscle perfusion up slight. Capillary recruitment for repair. Bone remodeling osteoclast pause. Osteoblast prep. Skin piloerector quiet. Thermoregulators set point down. Sweat glands off. Vasodilation core warm. Melatonin receptors MT1 desensitized slow. Phase 2 holds. Circadian clock oscillators couple. Suprachiasmatic neurons sync. VIP peptides link cells. Peripheral clocks follow brain lead. Liver-kidney clocks align. Homeostatic adenosine peaks. A1 receptors inhibit wide. A 2A and striatum low tone. Histamine H1 blockade from natural drop. TMN cells silent. Acetylcholine basal forebrain off. Cholinergic interneuron striatum rest. GABA ventrolateral preoptic steady. GABergic hypothalamic spill. Orexin lateral hypothalamus 0. HCRT1 HCRT2 receptors empty. Galnon-galanine inhibits wake. MCH lateral promotes sleep. NPY arcuates sleep factor. Relaxin 3 deepens. Prostaglandin D2 leptomeningeal slow. DP1 receptors cortex calm. Adenosine from purines builds. P2X2 Y low activity. Nitric oxide synthase basal. Vasodilation mild. Carbon dioxide PL response down. Ventilation matches quiet. EEG montages show stage 2 firm. Sleep spindles 12 to 16 hertz. They burst 1 second groups. K complexes negative sharp then positive. They block arousal cold. Vertex sharp waves central scalp. Somatosensory entry mark. Sawtooth waves temporal theta. REM prep distant. Muscle tone autonia starts light. Alpha motor hypopolarize. H reflex spinal low. F waves absent slow. Blink reflexes gone. Pupillary light reflex holds. Corneal touch absent. Jaw jerk minimal. Gastrocolic reflex primes. Intestinal motility up slow. Gallbladder contracts mild. Pancreatic enzymes basal. The brain layers peel further. Each region follows the pull. Quiet builds on quiet. The brain's cortex layers thin their activity. Layer 2 and 3 pyramidal cells quiet first. They connect across regions. Fewer action potential spike. Synaptic clefts widen slightly. Layer 5 cells follow. They send outputs to brainstem. Their firing rates halve. Bursts shorten. Layer 6 talks to thalamus. It slows its feedback loop. Thalamus relays less. Columns across the cortex sync. Vertical stacks phase together. Horizontal spreads calm. Gamma oscillations fade completely. No fast chatter remains. Beta waves dissolve next. Alpha lingers in occipital areas. It drops as eyes stay closed. Frontal alpha builds slow. Mu rhythms over motor cortexes. No movement plans form. Somatosensory areas filter touch. Light pressure fades from mind. The default mode network shifts gear. Posterior cingulate quiets memories. Medial prefrontal softens self-thoughts. Angular gyrus maps words less. Inner speech trails off. Precuneus dims spatial recall. No scenes replay sharp. Hippocampus replays fade to ripples. Sharp wave ripples space out. CA1 cells hyperpolarize more. Dentate gyrus gates inputs low. New traces settle deep. Entorhinal grid cells slow rotation. Place fields blur gentle. Subiculum hands to hypothalamus. Sleep signals pass smooth. Amygdala central nucleus hushes. No emotional tags attach. Basolateral amygdala rests inputs. Fear extinction pathways open. Insula anterior quiets body scans. Posterior insula tracks less. Anterior cingulate dampens conflict check. No decisions press. Orbitofrontal value areas rest. Rewards lose pull. Ventromedial prefrontal eases choices. Habits run automatic. Dorsolateral prefrontal plans dissolve. Working memory buffers clear. Inferior frontal gyrus quiets language. Broca's area silent. Superior temporal gyrus filters voice. Wernicke's rests. Auditory cortex tones low pass. High frequencies block. Primary visual cortex edges soften. No phosphine spark. Association areas blend less. Objects lose definition. Parietal association quiets reach. No grasps intend. The brainstem reticular core slows. Pedunculopontine nucleus cuts acetylcholine. Laterodorsal tegmental follows. Locus coeruleus noradrenergic cells pause. Norepinephrine transporters recycle slow. Dorsal raphe serotonin neurons trickle. 5. HT1A autoreceptors feedback strong. Median raphe theta pacers hush. Hippocampal drive drops. Ventral tegmental dopamine cells rest. Burst firing stops. Substantia nigra pars compacta paces low. Basal ganglia loops unwind. Globus pallidus externus inhibits less. Subthalamic nucleus quiets bursts. Striatum D1 receptors desensitize. Direct pathway eases. Indirect pathway fades opposition. Thalamus relay nuclei gate firm. Lateral geniculate blocks light leak. Medial geniculate mutes sound. Ventral posterior relays touch faint. Pulvinar association filters wide. Intralaminar nuclei arousal low. Cortical activation minimal. Thalamic reticular nucleus spindles spin. 10 to 15 hertz bursts. They shield cortex sleep. Centromedian nucleus arousal off. Parafascicular quiet. Hypothalamus sleep zones active. Ventrolateral preoptic GABA spills. Wake orexin cells hyperpolarize. Median preoptic reinforces. Galenine neurons inhibit. Tuberomammillary histamine cells stop. H3 autoreceptors bind. Suprachiasmatic nucleus melatonin locked. Phase delay holds. Arcuate nucleus hunger signals mute. NPY agouti low. Paraventricular oxytocin pulses calm. CRH stress axis down. Pineal gland sustains output. Melatonin half-life 4 hours. Pituitary prolactin steady. Growth hormone from somatotrophs. Cerebellum Purkinje cells sink slow. Climbing fibers silent. Deep nuclei output tapers. Pontine mossy fibers rest. Vestibular nuclei balance hold. No sway corrects. Spinal trigeminal quiets face sense. Jaw muscles slack. Nucleus ambiguous parasympathetic up. Heart vagal tone rises. Solitary nucleus bareflex smooth. Pressure waves damp. Rostral ventrolateral medulla quiets. Sympathetic drive cuts. Gigantocellular nucleus motor tone off. Alpha motor neurons below threshold. Interneurons glycinergic inhibit. Reciprocal inhibition holds limbs. Gamma loop reflexes low gain. No stretch starts. Ascending sensory tracts filter. Dorsal column lemniscus faint. Spinothalamic pain temp block. Gait control spinal low. Reticulospinal arousal gone. Vestibulospinal posture ease. Brain floats in quiet sync. Each wave pulls deeper. Thalamocortical spindles weave tighter. TRN neurons burst pacemaker. GABA-A receptors chloride influx. Relay cells hold inhibited. Spindle frequency adapts slow. Cortex entrainment follows. Surface 2 microvolts peak. Slow oscillations 1 Hz drive. Neuronal populations up down. Surface 100 microvolts deep. Cortical layer 4 inputs gate. Granule cells silent phase. Pyramidals layer 2-3 sync. Hippocampal theta power 4 Hz drops. Ripple frequency 200 Hz rare. CA3 Schaefer collaterals quiet. Subiculum layer 3 pyramids low. Deep layers feedback off. Entorhinal layer 2 stellate rest. Layer 5 burst gone. Olfactory bulb mitral sparse fire. Piriform cortex odor memory fade. Gustatory insulus sweet salt gone. Nucleus tractus solitarius taste low. Vestibular nuclei otolith canal quiet. Nucleus prepositus gaze hold. Pontine omnipause neurons off. Saccade burst generators silent. Frontal eye fields fixation steady. Superior colliculus rostral pole calm. Pulvinar medial gaze shift block. Lateral intraparietal reach hush. Middle temporal motion areas off. Medial superior temporal heading low. V4 color ventral stream quiet. Inferotemporal object recognition rest. Fusiform face area blank. Parahippocampal place low. Posterior parietal eye hand map fade. AIP anterior intraparietal grip gone. PRR parietal reach region rest. MIP medial intraparietal space soft. Ventrolateral prefrontal orbido value low. Dorsolateral DLPFC memory buffer clear. ACC anterior cingulate error monitor off. PCC posterior self-reference dim. Temporal pole semantic hub quiet. Angular gyrus concept blend hush. Precuneus visual spatial recall gone. Cuneus occipital midline rest. Calcarine sulcus primary visual edges blur. Striate extrastriate disconnect slow. Lateral geniculate layers parvo magnogate. Koenig cells off bursts. Pulvinar inferior visual attention block. Lateral shell fixation hold. Centrolateral intralaminar diffuse low. Parafascicular palatal input quiet. Ventral anterior motor thalamus slow. Ventral lateral cerebellar loop off. Ventral posterior body map filter. VPL, VPM medial lemniscus faint. Medial dorsal prefrontal link low. Anterior thalamic cingulate memory hush. Habenula lateral serotonin gate calm. Medial habenula dopamine inhibit. Parabrachial nucleus arousal off. Coliker fuse respiratory steady. Solitary nucleus respiratory chemoreceptor low. Prebotzinger complex rhythm slow. NTS commissural baroflex integrate. Area postrema nausea block. Gigantocellular depressor neurons active. RVLM pressor silenced. Nucleus ambiguous cardiac preganglionic fire. Vagus efferent steady pulse. Dorsal motor nucleus vagal tonic. Slow heart rate hold. Phrenic motor C3 C5 quiet drive. Diaphragm rhythm automatic. Hypoglossal 12 genioglossus tone low. Tongue base collapse prevent mild. Facial 7 orbicularis slack. Masseter V jaw open slight. Accessory 11 trapezius sternocleidomastoid rest. Spinal accessory quiet. cervical cord central pattern hold, flexor inhibitor interneurons on, lumbar alpha motor threshold up, IA afferent spindle low, sacral S2S4 parasympathetic bladder fill, detrusor relax hold, pudendal S2S3 sensory filter, anal sphincter tone basal, cerebrospinal flow glymphatic peak, aquaporin 4 astrocyte in feet, paravascular influx outflux balance, interstitial volume fraction drops, waist clearance maximal stage 2, blood-brain barrier tight junction strong, occludin claudin 5 up, parasite finger processes contract mild, endothelial pinocytosis low, neuronal noradrenaline transporters net recycle, locus coeruleus silent tonic, alpha-2 autoreceptors feedback strong, any extracellular low nanomolar, dorsal Raphe 5-HT slow autoreceptor, somatodendritic 5-HT1A inhibit, tryptophan hydroxylase 2 basal, VMAT 2 vesicles fill slow, serotonin transporter SERT uptake high, extracellular serotonin picomolar, VT8 dopamine pacemaker single spike, no burst phasic release, TH tyrosine hydroxylase feedback DAT, autoreceptor D2 short low, substantia nigra pars reticulata GABA-tonic, direct indirect balance sleep, STN subthalamic glutamatergic pace low, GPI globus pallidus output hush, intopeduncular palatal quiet, thalamic motor relay free, striatum indirect dynorphin and kephalin low, D1 direct substance P-gone, nucleus accumbens shell reward quiet, core habit loop off, thalamocortical spindles weave tighter, TRN neurons burst pacemaker, GABA A receptors chloride influx, relay cells hold inhibited, spindle frequency adapts slow, cortex entrainment follows, surface 2 microvolts peak, slow oscillations 1 Hz drive, neuronal populations up down, surface 100 microvolts deep, cortical layer 4 inputs gate, granule cells silent phase, pyramidals layer 2-3 sync, hippocampal theta power 4 Hz drops, ripple frequency 200 Hz rare, CA3 Schaefer collaterals quiet, subiculum layer 3 pyramids low, deep layers feedback off, interrhinal layer 2 stellate rest, layer 5 burst gone, olfactory bulb mitral sparse fire, piriform cortex odor memory fade, gustatory insulus sweet salt gone, Nucleus tractus solitarius taste low. Vestibular nuclei otolith canal quiet. Nucleus prepositus gaze hold. Pontine omnipause neurons off. Saccade burst generators silent. Frontal eye fields fixation steady. Superior colliculus rostral pole calm. Pulvinar medial gaze shift block. Lateral intraparietal reach hush. Middle temporal motion areas off. Medial superior temporal heading low. V4 color ventral stream quiet. Inferotemporal object recognition rest. Fusiform face area blank. Parahippocampal place low. Posterior parietal eye hand map fade. AIP anterior intraparietal grip gone. PRR parietal reach region rest. MIP medial intraparietal space soft. Ventrolateral prefrontal orbido value low. Dorsolateral DLPFC memory buffer clear. ACC anterior cingulate error monitor off. PCC posterior self-reference dim. Temporal pole semantic hub quiet. Angular gyrus concept blend hush. Precuneus visual spatial recall gone. Cuneus occipital midline rest. Calcarine sulcus primary visual edges blur. Striate extrastriate disconnect slow. Lateral geniculate layers parvo magnogate. Koenig cells off bursts. Pulvinar inferior visual attention block. Lateral shell fixation hold. Centrolateral intralaminar diffuse low. Parafascicular palatal input quiet. Ventral anterior motor thalamus slow. Ventral lateral cerebellar loop off. Ventral posterior body map filter. VPL, VPM medial lemniscus faint. Medial dorsal prefrontal link low. Anterior thalamic cingulate memory hush. Habenula lateral serotonin gate calm. Medial habenula dopamine inhibit. Parabrachial nucleus arousal off. Coliker fuse respiratory steady. Solitary nucleus respiratory chemoreceptor low. Prebotzinger complex rhythm slow. NTS commissural bareflex integrate. Area postrema nausea block. Gigantocellular depressor neurons active. RVLM pressor silenced. Nucleus ambiguous cardiac preganglionic fire. Vagus efferent steady pulse. Dorsal motor nucleus vagal tonic. Slow heart rate hold. Phrenic motor C3 C5 quiet drive. Diaphragm rhythm automatic. Hypoglossal 12 genioglossus tone low. Tongue base collapse prevent mild. Facial 7 orbicularis slack. Masseter V jaw open slight. Accessory 11 trapezius sternocleidomastoid rest. Spinal accessory quiet. cervical cord central pattern hold, flexor inhibitor interneurons on, lumbar alpha motor threshold up, IA afferent spindle low, sacral S2S4 parasympathetic bladder fill, detrusor relax hold, pudendal S2S3 sensory filter, anal sphincter tone basal, cerebrospinal flow glymphatic peak, aquaporin 4 astrocyte in feet, paravascular influx outflux balance, interstitial volume fraction drops, waist clearance maximal stage 2, blood-brain barrier tight junction strong, occludin claudin 5 up, parasite finger processes contract mild, endothelial pinocytosis low, neuronal noradrenaline transporters net recycle, locus coeruleus silent tonic, alpha-2 autoreceptors feedback strong, any extracellular low nanomolar, dorsal Raphe 5-HT slow autoreceptor, somatodendritic 5-HT1A inhibit, tryptophan hydroxylase 2 basal, VMAT2 vesicles fill slow, serotonin transporter SERT uptake high, extracellular serotonin picomolar, VT8 dopamine pacemaker single spike, no burst phasic release, TH tyrosine hydroxylase feedback DAT, autoreceptor D2 short low, substantia nigra pars reticulata GABA-tonic, direct indirect balance sleep, STN subthalamic glutamatergic pace low, GPI globus pallidus output hush, intopeduncular palatal quiet, thalamic motor relay free, striatum indirect dynorphin and kephalin low, D1 direct substance P gone, sleep pressure adenosine max now, extracellular micromolar range, a 1 receptors GI coupled hyperpolarize, KIR channels open potassium efflux, a two-way striatum GSCAMP pathway low, dopamine D2 compete absent, histamine TMN tuberomammillary silent, H3 autoreceptor tonic inhibit, tachhistidine decarboxylase basal, VMAT2 histamine vesicles, HDC decarboxylase product low, constitutive histamine release off, choline acetyltransferase chat basal, VACHT vesicular low fill, M1 muscarinic cortex pyramidal low, M2 presynaptic inhibit strong, alpha-7 nicotinic interneurons quiet, desensitized state hold, GABA VLPO ventrolateral preoptic spill, GABA A alpha 1 beta 2 gamma 2, glycine strychnine sensitive spinal, GeoWire alpha 1 spinal interneuron, RX and HCRT LH lateral hypothalamus 0. OX1 ROX2 are postsynaptic empty. Dynorphin RX and co-release gone. MCH melanin concentrating calm. NPY neuropeptide YVLPO promote. Galanine wake inhibit. Prokineticin 2 hypothalamic slow. PKR receptor quiet. Relaxin 3 rfamide sleep deepen. RXFP 1 receptor basal forebrain. Nitric oxide inosine DPH basal. SGC soluble guanylate cyclase low. CGMP PDE5 breakdown steady. NO vasodilation mild PL. CO carbon monoxide heme oxygenase 2. Similar CGMP path quiet. Prostaglandin D2 leptomeningeal slow wave. DP1GS cortex quiet. Adenosine P1 ecto ADP breakdown. CD73 ectonucleotidase steady. P2RX7 inflammasome block sleep. Microglia ramified no pro-inflammatory. Cytokines IL-1 beta TNF alpha basal low. Sleep regulatory low phase. Growth factors BDNF NGF basal repair. Synaptic homeostasis scale. Cortisol HPA axis trough nadir. CRH paraventricular low pulse. ACTH anterior pituitary minimal. Adrenal zona fasciculata quiet. Aldosterone renin angiotensin low. Atrial natriuretic peptide mild. Vasopressin supraoptic paraventricular low. Aquaporin 2 collecting duct hold. Oxytocin social bond low. Milk ejection absent. Prolactin lactotroph tonic basal. Dopamine D2 inhibit light. GH growth hormone somatotroph pulse. Stage 3 prep distant. Melatonin pineal NAT acetylation peak. ASMT hydroxyindole O-methyl. MT1-MT2G. I coupled SCN reinforce. Phase response curve hold. Clock genes PR1, PR2, Cry1, Cry2 nuclear. Clock BMAL1 transcription low. RevERB alpha repress clock. ROR gamma activate balance. Peripheral clocks liver adipose kidney sync. SCN master oscillator led. Thermoregulation POA preoptic set point down. Warm sensitive neurons active. Cold sensitive off threshold. Skin blood flow up cord dump. Muscles shiver threshold high. Brown fat UCP 1 low. Respiration medullary rhythm generator slow. Pre-Botzinger inspiratory quiet. Post-inspiratory complex expire hold. Pontine pneumataxic off. Chemical drive CO2 pH steady low. Hypoxic drive carotid quiet. Upper airway genioglossus EMG low. Phasic tone prevent collapse. Diaphragm duty cycle short. Tidal volume steady. Heart assay node automaticity slow. AV node conduction mild prolonged. Ventricular filling diastolic up. Stroke volume hold. Baroflex gain high sensitivity. Pulse pressure low. Renal filtration GFR stable. Sympathetic effort low. Bladder detrusor parasympathetic prep. Pudendal sphincter somatic hold. Gut migrating motor complex phase 2. Enteric nervous slow wave. Liver portal flow even. Gallbladder CCK mild contract. Pancreas acinar basal secretion. Islet insulin sensitivity up. Skeletal muscle perfusion repair up. Nutrient delivery capillary. Bone marrow hematopoiesis steady. Lymph flow slow. Skin dermis collagen turnover basal. Epidermis barrier tight. Hair follicle telogen hold. Sweat duct reabsorb. Cornea epithelial repair peak. Tear film stable. Retina rod bipolar quiet. Melanopsin IPRGC circadian low. Ciliary muscle parasympathetic slack. Lens accommodation rest. Pupil sphincter constrict mild. Dilator sympathetic off. Extraocular rectus steady gaze. Vestibular ocular reflex hold. The hush deepens layer by layer. No region pulls back. Sync holds all together. Quiet flows endless. Delta waves dominate cortex full. 0.5 to 4 Hz power max. Slow oscillation amplitude peaks. EEG frontal maximum gradient. Layer 4 thalamorecipient quiet phase. Intracolumnar inhibition strong. Basket cells parvalbumin GABA fast spike. Martinotti cells feedback hush. Chandelier axoazonic hold. Pyramidal apical dendrites sync. Layer 1 inputs diffuse low. White matter U fibers short range off. Association fibers arcuate low. Projection fibers corticofugal quiet. Commissural anterior posterior calm. Hippocampus CA1 stratum radiatum silent. Schaefer collateral EPSP small. Mossy fiber CA3 dentate sparse. Perforant path interrhinal layer 2 gone. Subicular fan cells theta reset off. Hilar mossy interneurons quiet. Amygdala basolateral principal low. Central nucleus output GABA-tonic. Bed nucleus stria terminalis anxiety low. Extended amygdala calm. insula granular posterior body map faint, dysgranular anterior interolo, orbitofrontal BA11 gustatory olfactory rest, BA47 ventrolateral parse off, dorsolateral BA9 working memory clear, BA46 circuitry quiet, premotor BA6 supplementary motor hush, BA8 frontal eye field fixation, primary motor BA4 hand knob silent, somatosensory BA3 filter, parietal BA7 space map soft, BA40 intraparietal sulcus low, temporal BA21 auditory belt, BA22 superior temporal quiet, BA37 fusiform extrastriate, BA39 angular concept hush, occipital BA17 calcarine edges, BA18-19 association blur, thalamus VAVL motor loop off, VPL VPM sensory gate firm, pulvinar PL lateral visual low, PM medial motion block, LD-LP LD association quiet, MD midline prefrontal link off, CMPF intralaminar arousal 0, interior group cingulate memory rest, pabinula medial BNST link calm, lateral PPT cholinergic quiet, parabrachial PB coliker fuse relay off, solitary NTS visceral integrate low, RVLM rostral ventrolateral quiet, CVLM caudal depressor active, ambiguous cardiac respiratory preganglionic, DMV dorsal motor vagal tonic, IO inferior olive climbing fiber silent, gracile cuneate dorsal column faint, spinal V trigeminal proprioception low, nucleus proprius gate control, dorsal horn lamino wide dynamic quiet, ventral horn motor pool hypopolarize, lateral column corticospinal silent, anterior ventral spinothalamic temp pain off, sacral cord parasympathetic outflow prep, on-off nucleus sphincter hold, cerebellum hemisphere flocculus nodulus rest, vermis fastigial output posture basal, pontine nuclei pontocerebellar mossy low, DCN deep cerebellar nuclei sink, vestibular medial lateral canal otolith, superior SVN gaze hold, abducens PPRF pontine paramedian quiet, MLF medial longitudinal fascicula steady, facial genu loop quiet, trigeminal mesencephalic proprio low, hypoglossal 12 submental EMG off, laryngeal recurrent nerve basal, cervical propriospinal intersegmental calm, Thoracic sympathetic chain low tone. Lumbar anterior horn extensor quiet. Flexor reciprocal inhibit hold. CSF glymphatic flow maximal delta. AQP 4 polarization astrocyte maximal. Interstitial clearance tau amyloid lactate. Plasticity tags AMPA GLUR1 downscale. Synaptic proteins PSD 95 bassoon scale. GLUR2 endocytosis quiet. Mitochondria axonal transport slow. OXPHOS ADP synthase basal load. Endoplasmic reticulum calcium store full. IP3 ryanodine store release low. Gap junctions connexin 36 cortical low. Astrocytic CX43 calcium wave slow. Perineuronal nets chondroitin stabilize. PV interneurons surround calm. Oligodendrocyte NG2 process quiet. Myelin basic protein hold. Endothelial GLUT1 glucose transport basal. MCT1 lactate efflux. BBB transporters PGP ABC efflux quiet. O3 organic anion low. Neurovascular unit coupling sleep low demand. Arteriolar smooth muscle relax. Capillary parasites process extend mild. Blood flow redistribution white matter up. The entire network settles deep. No sparks ignite. Waves roll unbroken. Rest covers all. Ultra-slow oscillations emerge faint. Cortex-wide coherence builds. EEG power spectral density delta peak. Surface negativity down state max. Neuronal membrane potential bistable. Threshold action potential unreachable down. Silent periods dominate cycle. Synaptic depression accumulates. AMPA receptor desensitized internalized. Short-term plasticity homeostasis. Calcium buffers parvalbumin calbindin full. Calmodulin kinase 2 basal inactive. CREB phosphorylation low transcription quiet. ARC activity regulated cytoskeleton low. Immediate early genes CFOs June B off. Nuclear translocation block. Mitochondrial membrane potential stable. ROS reactive oxygen basal minimal. Autophagy lysosome fusion mild. Ubiquitin proteasome turnover slow. Glymphatic convective flow peaks. Arterial pulsation delta entrain. Paravascular clearance solutes maximal. Waste beta amyloid 2 oligomers drain. Tau hyperphospho interstitial flush. Lactate pyruvate ratio normalize. K4.16 extracellular stable. pH interstitial 7.35 hold. CO2 tension, steady ventilation match. Temperature brain core drop 0.3. Metabolism global 20% down. Cerebral blood flow match demand low. Oxygen extraction fraction up mild. Glucose utilization FDG PET low cortex. CM or GLU 20 micromole per gram min. Protein synthesis ribosomal translation slow. Initiation factor low phosphorylation. Ion pumps Na-K ATPase energy save. Gradient steep hold leak minimal. Chloride C1 cotransporter KCC2 quiet. GABA reversal hyperpolarized stable. Potassium leak channels task TWIK open. IH hyperpolarization activated low. Gap junctions electrical sync cortical columns. CX36 connexin delta drive. Astrocyte domain volume swell mild. KIR 4.1 gliopotassium buffer. Microglia CX3CR1 fractalkine low patrol. No cytokine release. Oligoremyelination prep quiet. NG2OPC process retract slow. In-feet astrocyte AQP 4 maximal polarization. CSF influx outflux balance optimal. BBB transcellular low pinocytosis off. Paracellular tie junction seal max. Peak glycoprotect AB1 efflux substrate clear. O3 organic anion lactate pyruvate. Neurovascular parasites tone low dilate. Smooth muscle actin myosin relax. Arteriolar diameter increase flow white matter. Capillary recruit even perfusion. Hippocampal fissure glymphatic entry prime. Dentate granule clearance path open. Neocortex sulcal flow CSF wash. Deep nuclei basal ganglia drain. Brainstem raphe locus glymphatic low waste. Cerebellum folia white matter up. Spinal cord central canal flow mild. Dorsal horn ventral horn clearance. Pineal calcified vessel glymphatic peak. Melatonin local paracrine calm. Hypothalamic recess CSF third ventricle flow. SCN circadian neuron waste clear. Pituitary portal flow low hormone basal. Chiasm optic nerve sheath drain. Retinal perivascular space quiet. RPE retinal pigment glymphatic analog. Cochlear perilymph flow low. Vestibular endolymph stable. Olfactory perineural space CSF leak mild. Nasal mucosa drain path. The flow carries all away. Quiet renews from within. Layers restful. Waves continue soft.